Today we're looking at Eugene Bullard. Hello, welcome to the Daily Bellringer. Please don't forget to subscribe and take a look at the questions down in the description. Eugene Bullard was the first African-American fighter pilot and flew missions during World War I. He was born October 9, 1895 in Columbus, Georgia, and was one of 10 children. In 1912, after his mother died and then his father was almost lynched or hung by an angry mob, Bullard ran to Norfolk, Virginia, where he was able to stow away aboard a ship sailing for Europe. Bullard hoped by getting to Europe he could escape the racial discrimination that had almost killed his father and had plagued him his whole life. He first landed in Scotland, but then made his way to London, where he became a boxer and stage performer. Performing on the stage brought him to Paris, France, just as World War I was getting underway. On October 19, 1914, Bullard volunteered to fight in the 3rd Regiment of the Foreign Legion Infantry. Being from America, he was not allowed to join the French Army, but rather the Foreign Legion. Over the next couple of years, Bullard saw lots of action, fighting in Europe, and in fact was involved in the Battle of Verdun, where he was awarded the Croix de Guerre, which was in recognition of his bravery in the battle, but he was also severely wounded in March of 1916. After recovering from his injuries, Bullard volunteered for the French Air Service. Remember, all of this occurred before the United States officially entered World War I. Bullard trained to be an air gunner and then received his pilot's license. And in November of 1916, he joined the Lafayette Flying Corps along with over 200 other American pilots. By early 1917, Bullard was flying bombing and reconnaissance missions over German targets on the Western Front. During this time, he earned his nickname the Black Swallow of Death, as he was credited with shooting down several German planes. In April of 1917, the United States entered World War I and began to recruit their own pilots out of the Lafayette Flying Corps. Bullard was refused admission to the United States Air Force only because they were only accepting white pilots. So Bullard continued to serve in the military for the French, however, he did not fly more missions. World War I came to an end in November of 1918, and Bullard moved back to Paris, having received numerous medals and honors for his wartime service. Bullard became a drummer in a jazz band and toured throughout Europe and Northern Africa. He then acquired his own jazz club and opened another, along with a gym where he trained boxers in Paris. In 1923, he married Marcelle Straumann, and together they had 2 children. However, their marriage ended in divorce in 1935. When World War II began in 1939, Bullard first served as a spy for the French. Bullard could speak German, and many in the German army had racist beliefs that Africans could not speak German. So Bullard made a great spy, as many German officers would visit his club and Bullard would overhear their conversations. Once Germany invaded France, Bullard volunteered to fight against the invasion. He was wounded during fighting and escaped to Spain, and in July of 1940, Bullard returned to America to recover from his wounds. He took up residence in New York City. Although he had been very well known in France, in America, Bullard found himself in obscurity, and he attempted to purchase one of his clubs back in Paris again, but it had been destroyed during World War II. And so he worked several different jobs as a salesman, security guard. He even spent time touring with Louis Armstrong as an interpreter. But one of his wartime wounds had left him with a very bad back, which kept him from finding a lot of employment. He ended up working as an elevator operator in downtown New York City. In 1954, the President of France invited Bullard to be part of a ceremony lighting the flame at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier at the Arc de Triomphe in Paris. Bullard died just a few years later on October 12th of 1961 at the age of 66 of stomach cancer. After his death, Bullard has been recognized for his bravery and service. In 1989, he was inducted into the Georgia Aviation Hall of Fame. And then in 1994, after being denied entry into the U.S. Air Force in 1917 simply because of the color of his skin, he was commissioned as a second lieutenant in the United States Air Force. And then lastly, in 2019, the Museum of Aviation in Georgia erected a statue in honor of Bullard. Eugene Bullard is arguably one of the toughest soldiers and pilots in military history, and no matter who he served for, he served with honor and bravery. So with that, hopefully you learned something, and thanks for watching.